Hey everyone, and welcome to yet another episode of Podcast on Fifth Ave. I'm Jordan, here with Jenna, Taylor, ready to bring you some really fun Penguins highlights, news, all that good stuff. They had quite the week, the Penguins. They're on a 5-game winning streak now. That's one thing. In the absence of Jake Guentzel, that's 2. Evgeny Malkin still is not back. That's 3. And Evan Rodrigues is playing out of his mind, another level. Jenna, I feel like you've been on the Evan Rodrigues train since before day one. So how validating is this for you to see him blossoming beyond what I think anybody expected him to do, even at his best? Like, he's become insane. That one-timer slap shot was just unreal. It was like shades of Ovechkin.
Yeah, it looked like Ovechkin.
Yeah.
I was going to say, it feels great. Not going to lie. I would just like to say that I predicted what was no. I mean, no one, I don't think anybody came even close to predicting this. I figured, you would think he was going to contribute as a bottom 6 forward. Mm-hmm. I don't think anybody anticipated him scoring the way that he's scoring, but I feel like I saw this a lot on Twitter, and you heard it from him a little bit. You are seeing, and we talked about this last week too, but you're seeing his confidence. You are seeing a confident hockey player who did not feel this way, or at least from what it seemed like to me when he was in Buffalo, or even honestly his first year when he was with the Penguins. Because again, when you're in the lineup, you're out of the lineup, you're a healthy scratch, you know, all these types of things, it's hard for that to develop. But we hear all the time in sports in general, next man up mentality. It's something that I feel like between covering the Steelers and the Penguins, I hear it at least once a day. It's like, next man up. Someone's injured, someone gets COVID, things along those lines. But Evan Rodrigues has made the most of his opportunity and then some. And I think that's what you always look for from these guys. And he's out there saying, hey, I'm doing it, and I'm doing it at a really high level, and I'm contributing. And you can just see how much fun he's having and how excited these guys are for him too, to see him succeed the way he's succeeding.
Yeah, it's been so fun to watch, for sure. Taylor, what do you attribute this rise in production and overall just skill set? Because it's not just that he's scoring goals, it's that it feels like every single thing about his game has been elevated to a totally different level. What is going on with that?
Yeah, I mean, you ask him what has led to this level of success, and he just keeps saying confidence. But I mean, he also is shooting the puck more, and I mean that could be just a product of his confidence. But yeah, looking at like the numbers, he's attempting more. So I mean, obviously he's on the ice more, but within that, he's shooting at a higher rate than he ever has before in his career. He's attempting 16.12 shot attempts per 60 minutes at 5-on-5. He's recording 10 shots on goal per 60 minutes at 5-on-5. Again, both of those are the highest rates of his career. So I mean, that's where a lot of the scoring is coming from. But that one timer, the one that looked like Ovechkin, that looked like a number 8 on his back from the left face off, that kind of stuff we really didn't see from him before. And I asked him, like, is that something you worked on coming into this season? And he said, you work on it a lot after practice, and that helps. Crosby, pointed to his shot is when he was asked, what kind of growth he's seen from him this year. So confidence, but then he's using that to take more shots, but then his shot is also just better. So again, 9 goals that ties a career high it's like 45 fewer games than when he did it before. And then he crossed the 20-point plateau for just the 3rd time in his career. And again, he's only 20-something games into the season. So I know I'm so interested to see what kind of contract he's going to get after this year, because I mean, this is kind of a small sample size, compared to the rest of his career, but he's doing very well. Number 2 leading scorer behind Guentzel on the team. So good for him.
And it's awesome to kind of see guys like him, guys like Brock McGinn, guys like Danton Heinen. I mean, especially Evan Rodrigues, I guess you could call him newer to the Penguins, but obviously McGinn and Heinen being as new as you can be to this team. All of them are finding career success. And yes, again, it is because of opportunity, it seems like. But I think McGinn is I want to say 2 points away from his total of in 2020, 2021, his point total.
Yeah.
Heinen just surpassed his goal total. Evan Rodrigues, like these guys are contributing and in such beneficial ways. And again, it's been circumstantial, but this is really beneficial for the Pens moving forward when, again, we talked about this team getting completely healthy all season. But when you have Evgeny Malkin, Jake Gensel, and Brian Rust back in this lineup, just the depth that this team could have is something that I think Penguins fans should really be excited about.
Absolutely. And I think it definitely is circumstantial with all the injuries, but when have the Penguins been fully healthy in recent memory? Like, it's been a long time since they've been like across the board. Everybody is where they should be and are supposed to be. And we've seen depth guys slot into those higher roles and not really do much. Not that they've failed, but they haven't necessarily played to this level that these guys are playing at right now. And it's just unbelievable how different types of players really thrive in Mike Sullivan's system. And that's definitely what we're seeing right now. I don't know, again, like Evan Rodrigues, having been here before and then coming back, like I was so apprehensive at the thought of having him on the top line going into the season. Like anybody even mentioning it, I was like, no, nope. We've seen it. We know what we're going to get. It's not anything good. Leave him down in the bottom six. And now it's like, can he stay up there permanently? Like, who can we move Brian Rust down to get him out? Like what?
When Gensel, Rust, Malkin all come back, if the Penguins are ever healthy, fully healthy, it really does make for some interesting lineup decisions because Malkin and Rust have played well together. So your first line still could be Gensel, Crosby, Rodrigues. Put Rust down with Malkin. I don't know then what happens to Kapanen. One of Kapanen or Rust, if they are on that second line, would have to play on their offside. It's going to be really tricky to see what happens if the Penguins are ever all healthy at once. I mean, that's a very lofty goal. That might not even happen. But it's
maybe for a day. Maybe for a day.
Yeah, it's going to be a good problem to have if they can get there.
Yeah, hopefully. And even with Sid, him coming back from his wrist surgery and then immediately getting hit with COVID, it felt like it took him a little bit to kind of settle back into actual gameplay. But oh my goodness, has he been looking like Sid lately? Even if he's not scoring incredibly flashy goals, just like the passes that he was making last night were off the charts bonkers. Like his hockey intuition and IQ is beyond explanation. I don't know how he sees things before they happen. It's like I don't know. It's like he creates these scenarios in his head and then manifests them just by making a pass. It's unbelievable. But it's been so exciting to see him playing as well as he has been. It looking comfortable too, because, let's be real, he's getting older, like everybody, but you just never know with hockey and the pace of it and injuries, like when is his career going to come to a close? And the fact that he's playing well right now and he's healthy and he's looking good, nothing better in the whole wide world than that. Taylor, what have your thoughts been on Sid as of late?
And Crosby did actually hit, a big milestone in that game. It was his 400th career multi-point game. He had 2 primary assists. And I mean, that's just crazy. Looking back, he's only the 14th player in NHL history to ever do that. And if you look at the list of the 13 to come before him, they're all in the Hockey Hall of Fame except for one, and it's Jágr. I mean, if you want to talk about longevity, it's Jágr. And the only reason Jágr's not in the Hockey Hall of Fame yet is because he's still playing. And so he's not yet eligible. So eventually all 14 of those players will make it into the Hockey Hall of Fame. Now, between Crosby and Jágr, who makes it first, I don't think Jágr's ever going to stop playing just Crosby before Jágr. But just a big milestone for him. Not the only milestone too. Letang, he had his 600th career point. 43rd defenseman to ever do that. and I believe the second fastest among active defensemen behind Erik Karlsson. So
wow.
I feel like we're, again, like the core is getting older, and then you bring in someone like, like Jeff Carter too. I feel like we're talking about milestones every single week.
Mm-hmm.
Every week there's a new one. It's like someone's X amount of games played, someone's, record here. It's insane.
Yeah.
It is insane. But when you look at the things like points scored and goals scored and those milestones, the fact that these guys are aging and it's not really slowing down at the same pace as they're aging, it's crazy that they're still playing and performing as well as they are, given the amount of injuries that they've had. I mean, good grief, Chris Letang had a stroke. Like, these guys have been through it, and they are still playing like it, no big deal. They're just, it's another day for them. They're just scoring and racking up points. But yeah, that's just what we do.
Because Montreal was in town. It's a bunch of French-speaking media. Letang does like a French availability too. And after practice Monday, I believe he was asked how long he wants to how old he wants to play, and he said it until he's 45. I believe is what he said. So again, that's a very Yager-like answer. Although I think Yager said like 60.
Not surprising.
Yeah. God, one time Yager, they asked him like how long he's gonna play, and he said, well, he eats 8 muffins a day, and he knows that when he stops playing, because he eats so many muffins, he's gonna get fat. So he said, the period in his life between not playing hockey and death, he wants to be very short, he said, because otherwise he's going to get fat from all the muffins. He said that in like an ESPN interview once. Like, I think it was with like the Devils. Now you could just eat less muffins, fewer muffins.
There is a simple solution here.
Nope, gotta keep playing hockey.
So you can eat the muffins. I honestly respect the move. I also need to know what kind of muffins these are.
I know. I don't think
Letang has chocolate chip. What are we going with here?
I don't think Letang has quite the same reason for the motivation to keep playing. I don't think Letang's like, they gotta make up for the muffins. But
oh my word.
The day that I don't think Chris Letang eats muffins. I would not say that based on that man, and not in a weird way, but based on that man's body fat percentage, I don't think he's eating 8 muffins a day.
No, definitely not. He's too fit.
Yeah.
Oh my God. All right. Why don't we take a break? We will be right back.
All right, and welcome back to Podcast on Fifth Avenue. We're joined now by former Steelers kicker Shaun Suisham. Shaun, how are you doing today?
Thanks for having me. I'm doing great.
Yeah. Is this your first time on a hockey podcast?
I'm not a huge podcaster. I generally like to talk on the phone or email, so this is out of my comfort zone.
Okay, I guess we'll take it easy on you then. The reason we brought you on, not to talk about football, but because you're coaching girls hockey in the Penguins Elite program. We'll get into that in a little bit. But first, just what was your hockey background growing up? How long did you play? And when did you make that switch full-time to football?
Sure. I grew up in Canada in Southern Ontario and grew up loving the game of hockey. Started as a figure skater, turned into a hockey player shortly thereafter, and really the only reason I ever left the game was because football took me away from it. But played an awful lot of hockey, came to the U.S. when I was 18 and took a break from hockey until my last couple of years with the Steelers. I had the blessing from Kevin Colbert and Mike Tomlin to start playing hockey in the off season again. So I started, and then unfortunately hurt my knee. But the good news is with hockey, and it didn't hurt my knee, and I loved the game. So I fell back in love with it, and I have 2 daughters, 10 and 12, Sienna and Stella, and I'm lucky enough to coach them and all the other girls on their teams.
I read somewhere your first training camp at Bowling Green, you showed up with a broken hand from hockey still. Is that the case?
That's a true story. I had no idea what I signed up for, but it was a pretty cool opportunity. So I left home. I didn't have kicking cleats. I showed up with a broken hand from a hockey fight. And I don't know how I got to where I am now, but it's been fun. But hockey has always been a very important part of my life.
You said a hockey fight. I mean, what kind of a hockey player are you? You goon? Give us a scouting report.
I don't know. Maybe I'm better than Kiesel, but he's improving, you know?
Yeah, I mean, we were going to ask you about Kiesel, later on, but I mean, Kiesel has been involved in a lot of these, kind of charity things and on the ice. What kind of a player is he? I watched him in that charity game. It looks like he can move.
Brett is a very good buddy of mine, and we have a lot of fun together, and it's been really fun to see him fall in love with the game of hockey. All his kids are playing hockey, and I'm lucky enough that his daughter Grace is on the ice when I'm coaching as well.
That's just got to be such a cool dynamic for you too. I mean, because has he been on skates a lot prior to getting on them with you guys?
He started, I don't think he started before he was done playing football, and him and I finished around the same time, and it's been fun to watch him. When he first started, he had these awful skates on that weren't built for a man of his stature, and we finally got him into a stiffer boot and a little safer for him and maybe people around him too.
Yeah,
I love that. Well, we'll go back a little bit to kind of your, hockey fandom growing up, Southern Ontario. So were you a Leafs fan growing up?
Big Leafs fan growing up. Absolutely.
All right. So what's your take on them right now?
Well, but football is taking me on a journey, and so I used to play for the Redskins, the Washington football team now, and became a Caps fan and had a lot of fun with those guys. And I used to be around there all the time. Ovechkin and Backstrom and Mike Green, they came out and kicked field goals one day, and they're great guys. When I got to Pittsburgh, Kevin Colbert found out about this, and he quickly put me in touch with the Penguins, and I have been a massive Penguins fan ever since. They've been creative, been fortunate enough to play in some alumni skates, and also before COVID came along, I used to skate with their staff at the big rink all the time. So they've been awesome to me, and I'm a huge fan of the Penguins and their organization.
I remember.
Oh, go ahead, Taylor.
I was going to say, I remember when you were playing, like Wayne Gretzky would show up sometimes. I remember, there were pictures of you on the sideline with him, or like Bruce Boudreau showed up and you met, him are there any like fun, memories from those?
Yeah, lots of great stories. I've basically lived my hockey dream through football. It's been a path that I didn't expect, but it's been awesome. Thomas Tull, who you might know his name, he was neighbors with Wayne Gretzky, and we were out in San Francisco, and Thomas called me. He said, "Come down. There's somebody I want you to meet." So I came down, and Wayne Gretzky was there with a jersey for me, and just an unbelievable experience for me. And when I was in Washington, Bruce Boudreau was just starting as the head coach there, and I got to know him. He's a great guy, and I'm happy to see he's back coaching again.
Yeah. We're a fan of Bruce Boudreau on the show.
He's a great guy.
Big Bruce fans here on the podcast. Did you ever get Sid or Gino or any of those guys out to kick field goals?
No. No, maybe we can do that.
I think we need to make that happen, because the people need to know who can kick a field goal farther, Sid or Ovechkin. I mean, the rivalry, everybody talks about it. We got to know which one can do it.
So a couple of weeks ago, helping out RMU, we put together a fun video, and I had the chance, and I spoke before I actually knew if I could do it or not. And I told him I could kick on the ice, and I can, so what I would like to challenge Sid to is a kicking contest on the ice. I think I'd like to do that.
I don't know. I
not right now. Not
right now. Yeah.
Maybe let him retire first.
Yeah. I mean, he's done stuff where they had him take batting practice at PNC Park, and he was hitting homers out. Crossover. I'd put some money on him. I don't know. But
on him?
On ice?
The ice is the factor. I'll say the ice might be the factor.
I haven't missed a field goal since 2015. I've been pretty good since then.
Okay. I
haven't kicked one either, but I haven't missed.
There you go. As we mentioned earlier, I mean, so you're coaching now the Penguins Elite program. You mentioned you coach your daughter. Just how long have you been doing that, and how did you get into that?
I started coaching kids in hockey while I was still playing football, probably in late 14 or maybe early 2015. actually the first year the rink opened with UPMC, I was at the Lemieux Center. I was there helping out. I've helped at other local rinks at the Barrel Rink. Jim Black has a great program for girls there, and the Lady Cats. So I started helping girls, and that's much more of an entry level, beginner level, which is an awesome program. And I still try to help out there when I can. And then fast forward now, I'm fortunate enough to coach the girls at the Pittsburgh Penguins Elite program, and I love it. And it's purposeful to me. I enjoy doing it. It's really special to see these ladies come together, and I'm doing my very best to help provide them and create an environment that I had as a kid through sport, and we're doing it with the girls through hockey, and it's really special and pretty cool to be part of it.
And along those lines too, what growth have you kind of seen in just girls hockey and in the sport in itself since you got into coaching and since your girls got into playing?
My goal when I first started was it first started actually at the rink we were talking about, and I'm watching girls, and this is as my girls are younger, but I'm watching the older girls, and they're getting ready in the bathroom or in a referee room, and I'm watching it, and I'm thinking, we could do more. There could be more for these ladies. And my goal was to hopefully be part of something, not only for my daughters, but for all the girls in this area to be able to share a locker room with their peers, which is very important in hockey, in my opinion, and in sports to share that, and also create an environment where the girls, they don't have to give up their development in order to have the awesome experience in a locker room with girls. And so what we've done is we now have our girls teams playing at a PAL AA level of boys hockey. So now I can tell parents and tell kids, look, if you play on our hockey teams, you don't have to give up development in order to share this awesome experience with girls. And I think it's been pretty fun to watch this happen and to get to the point where we're playing these. When I call them boys teams, they're technically co-ed, but they're dominated by boys. So just for the sake of the conversation, I'll call them boys teams. And when we play them, it's been great because those teams, those boys, those coaches are no longer looking at our team as a team of girls, but as a hockey team. And it's really special. And that's how I coach them as hockey players. And that's how we treat them. And we certainly push the girls, and it's fun to watch them respond. It's been very rewarding for me. And the amount of work the girls put in is special. And, what probably leads us to now talking about college hockey and the importance of a program like RMU local to Pittsburgh. Why is it so important? There aren't an awful lot of opportunities at that caliber of play for girls, for females in hockey. So when we take one of those opportunities away, not only does it take away the opportunity for those ladies that are fortunate enough to make it there, but it also pulls away that thought, that idea, that dream for those girls that work and they push themselves and they grow so much. Forget about hockey, but just prepare them for life, become our future leaders. And when we lose that in Pittsburgh, it hurts. I want to see more opportunities for our girls, our daughters. And like I said, again, our futures of the leader, our leaders of the future. And we need to fight for those opportunities for our girls. I feel it, I believe it. And I know the power of sport. I am a perfect example of that. And I don't want my daughters, the girls of this area, not to have it because, I don't want to say why, but I just would like to see that preserved for them in this area. It'd be great.
Do you follow the women's professional game at all? And do you think, just given the growth of girls hockey in this area, that Pittsburgh could be a viable market for a team?
Sure. It's an unbelievable game, and you watch the skill of these ladies playing the game, and it's grown so much, and their skill set and their talent is so high, and hockey's so exciting, and because they're females, it does not fall short of being awesome hockey, so I would love to see continued growth. We have been fortunate to have a program that we're involved with PIP, Premier Ice Prospects, which is an all-girls, led by a female all-girls hockey company that's dedicated to spring opportunities for spring hockey for ladies, to help drive them towards college, and also regular season, hosting awesome tournaments dedicated strictly and entirely for girls. We just came back from Erie in one, which was awesome. It's really fun to see.
Yeah, I mean, at the international level, the U.S. women and U.S. Canadians team, that's like one of the most exciting rivalries in hockey. I don't know if you follow that.
Of course they do. So when we watch in our house, we always say we can't lose, because we carry 2 passports in this house, and it's fun to watch. Yes, we certainly keep up with them.
Yeah. What are you hoping to do in your future with coaching? Do you expect to maybe move up in the levels eventually, maybe get into college or move up with your girls, or what's in the future for you?
My goal doing this is, and I don't do it for money, it's trying to give back to a community that's been so wonderful to my family, and trying to hopefully find little ways here and there to leave hockey in a better place in this area than how we found it. And there are an awful lot of people doing great things for girls hockey, and I'm watching it happen, and it's been fun to watch it, and our program, the Pensley program, is doing a great job creating these opportunities. Since I've been there, they offer full-time opportunities for our girls, and continue to watch the growth of our young ladies has been really special, and I'm happy to hopefully some of them, feel in some small way I've added to hockey for them. I hope that's the case, because I certainly love doing it.
Now, one of the big, I guess, hockey-related stories that really kind of hit the Pittsburgh community a little bit earlier this year was the horrendous chance towards the Mars goalie. And I believe that I read that you made it a point, you wanted your girls to go to the game that they were having at the UP-MC Lemieux Center to kind of rally around her, support her. Why was that so important to you? I mean, you talk about wanting to make the world of hockey better than when, you first got in. Why was that such a big part of, a lesson, I guess, to kind of show your team, like, hey, we're going to be here, we're going to be supportive? Sure.
That's a great question. And to be clear, we're talking about kids, and so we all fall short. We all make mistakes. I would assume that they'll all learn and grow from that moment. But beyond that, it was important for every single one of our players on both my teams. Every single team within a girls team within our organization was also there. There were some local college players there. The local PAL teams were there. It was really special to see the entire girls hockey community come together. And it was just a show of support, whether you're playing with all boys, whether you're on an all girls team, that, hey, that wasn't okay. You're not in this alone. We're here with you, and it was really special to get out there and cheer for her. And there was a couple nice moments where I saw her look over from net and see our girls lined up on the glass and give them a smile. So it was really special. Those girls were genuine. They were sincere. They wanted to be there. And I thought it was a really neat moment for girls hockey in Pittsburgh in general to show support that's not something that's okay. Let's learn from it. Let's move on. But hey, we've got your back. It was a good moment.
Awesome. Yeah, that's awesome to hear. It's good to hear that you're doing some great things in the community, in the Pittsburgh hockey community. We'll have to have you back on the show when you have your kicking competition with Sidney Crosby. Get a preview lining up to that. But yeah, thanks again for joining.
Thanks so much.
Yeah, we're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back. Keep listening.
we're back. A big thank you to Shaun Suisham for coming on the show and talking with two of us. I'm so sad that I will have missed it. I was really looking forward to it, but duty calls. Around the league, though, there's some news. Former general manager of the Pittsburgh Penguins, Jim Rutherford, was hired by the Vancouver Canucks as the president of hockey operations. And he, in his media availability, first with the team, was asked some questions, one specifically about whether or not he learned anything from the signings of Jack Johnson and Eric Goodbranson. And he had some curious things to say about that.
Well, I use analytics a lot, and I really like it, but it's not what I make my decision on. And you make hockey decisions for different reasons, and I don't regret making those two decisions, because Jack Johnson was a big part of our dressing room and a big part of our team, and he did some good things for us. He didn't get a good chance in Pittsburgh because he was never accepted from day one. And so you're not going to have all skilled skating guys. In Goodbranson's case, we needed defense at that point in time, and we needed a physical guy because we didn't have one. I like his character, and he served a purpose when he was there. But it got to a point that he affected our cap, and so that's when he got moved on. So you're going to have different kind of players. I don't regret those two moves at all in Pittsburgh.
And I know that we all have thoughts about that specifically. I understand that there's a certain level of, I don't know if you would call it bedside manner. You don't want to just come right out and be like, that was a terrible signing. Yeah. I should never have done it. That guy was trash. It was whatever. But to not acknowledge the total disconnect of not only length and salary of Jack Johnson's
5 years.
That we're still paying. We as if I have like financial capital in the team. The Penguins are still paying it. But there is a way to diplomatically say it probably was not the right fit for the team. It probably wasn't a good decision for the current state of the team. Maybe I learned that I shouldn't sign guys to 5-year deals for this many millions worth of dollars when they don't even fit into the system of the head coach of the team. But to come right out and say, no, I stand by that. I think that it was it's the right thing is just absolutely ludicrous to me. And that, he won 2 cups here. That is excellent. But he made some really weird decisions in his final years with the team, and then it just peace out. Like you can't divorce the two things. Like they all happened in his time here, and you can be thankful for what he did right, but also like wonder what was he thinking in his final years. Yeah. So Taylor, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, like you said, Jim Rutherford's legacy here is not, signing Jack Johnson. But again, I think, like you said, I think he could have answered that in I don't know, what I would have liked to have seen him say, I guess, is, because he praised Jack Johnson. He said, he was great in our room and all that. You could have said that, but he really wasn't a fit on the ice. Yeah. So maybe I learned something there, but no, he didn't. He said no regrets at all. So I don't know. And I think a buyout is, if that doesn't exemplify regret, I don't know what does. I mean, if you said, they're still paying him. They're paying him through they're paying him for another 4 years.
Oh my God.
This season,
it's not over yet.
Yeah, this season his cap hit is $1.2 million. It actually varies. So it's funny, the NHL salary cap upper limit increases by $1 million next season. Jack Johnson's cap hit on the Penguins increases next season by $750,000. So that's where that is going. So you see the salary cap is going up, but really not for the Penguins because they're paying Jack Johnson almost $2 million next season. And then the final 3 years, it's about $900,000. So again, if that's not regret, I don't know what does. Again, Jim Rutherford, I don't think he cares because that's not his problem anymore. He's in Vancouver. I think the biggest issue I saw with what he said was he didn't get a good chance in Pittsburgh because he was never accepted from day one. Now, I don't think that means by Sullivan or, because Jack Johnson, he got playing time. He rarely was scratched. I think he's talking about, public perception. And that's just not true because if Jack Johnson would have played well, he could have shed that. You look at Cody Ceci. Cody Ceci, when he came in, really kind of had a similar reaction. I mean, the contract was not nearly as bad, but Cody Ceci played so well that by the time he left inside in Edmonton, fans were pissed. So Jack Johnson could have gotten rid of that. Even, talking about bad contracts, Brandon Tanev got signed.
That's exactly what I was
saying. People hated that contract, but Brandon Tanev played well enough that people forgot about that. So to say that, Jack Johnson just never got a chance here, referring to public perception, that really doesn't check out for me. But yeah, I mean, back to just Jim Rutherford as a whole. Yeah, this is not going to be his legacy, but I think, without Jim Rutherford, they still have 3 Stanley Cups. But that's true. That's going to be his legacy. But then I think you also still have to recognize that he made a lot of moves like this that closed that window shut. So both things can be true. Winning those 2 Stanley Cups does not make him immune to criticism. And this is a huge thing. Goodbranson, I don't think Goodbranson is that big of a deal. Goodbranson is fine here. And again, you look back at, when they brought him in, they had some injuries. Yeah. It was a bad contract, but they really unloaded it for nothing by the end. He really wasn't here that long, and he was fine when he was with Marcus Pettersson briefly. Yeah. So Goodbranson, not that big of a deal. The reason Jack Johnson and Goodbranson were brought up together is because the reporter was asking specifically about defensemen, like in relation to Quinn Hughes somehow. So that's why those 2 were brought up. I think there are other bad moves you could bring up, like acquiring Reeves and then the moves they made to undo the Reeves trade and the fallout from all that, and Brassard being tied in there. There's a lot of bad things that happened after 2017. So, and then of course the way just Rutherford resigned in the middle of the season. I think fans have reason to be critical. Years from now, this is not what we're going to remember, but you can't just act like it didn't happen. So.
Yeah, Jenna, how do you feel about all that? What are your thoughts?
So you guys kind of both hit the nail right on the head there. That just, I mean, because again, it's not like his legacy is going to change or anything like that. And I'm intrigued to kind of see what he's going to do with Vancouver. Because obviously this president of hockey ops role is a little bit different, it's drastically different. I can't even say a little bit different. And it almost, now that they have Brian Burke in this role, I think the thing for me that was intriguing is would there have potentially been the chance for this here for him? And would he have wanted to kind of transition away from being the GM of the team and say, hey, I'm going to step into this role? Obviously one of those, we'll never know right now type things, but that is kind of intriguing to me. Would that have happened? Could that have happened? But I think for, with a franchise like Vancouver, it's interesting because they are a lot younger. They, are rebuilding. They've also, I just love the dynamic too with him and coach now, because it was wait a second, you were set such, granted, obviously him being in the front office, but you were bitter rivals. Now it's oh, just kidding. We're together now. I just love it.
I don't know.
Bruce Boudreau's first NHL goal was scored on Jim Rutherford. And he Rutherford was asked about that too. In his first media availability, and he said, he and I were friends. He was having trouble scoring on anyone else, so I let him have that one. So, two just good personalities, and Boudreau and Jim Rutherford. So that dynamic is going to be fun to watch. Every time Boudreau, we talked about it before, but every time Boudreau talks, there's something quotable coming out of that. So, fun situation in Vancouver.
Yeah, and one of the things about Jim Rutherford that was always so, I don't even know what the right word would be, because entertaining implies positivity, but he was very trigger happy with deals and the trade deadline. Like that dude loves to make a signing and trade for people, whoever, anybody. Let's get it done. Like, big deal, don't care. Little deal, let's do it. Yeah. I think from the outside now, that actually might be a lot of fun to watch, because on trade deadline day, as a Penguin fan, when he was running the show, it was like, oh my God, what is he going to do? But now, and it wasn't always all bad, because he did, he brought in Phil Kessel. Like, it's not like he was this bulldozer, terrible tornado that always destroyed everything. But there was a stark contrast between his first handful of years with the organization and his last handful of years. And I think, like you said, Taylor, the way that he left was just so, it just felt kind of skeevy. And if it hadn't ended that way, I think a lot of people would be not even paying attention to what's going on with him right now. It's just the fact that he decided a week into the season, okay, done, I'm gone. And then is now with a new organization saying that he doesn't regret any of his crappy signings. It's just weird. It's weird.
I mean, there's a lot of theories out there about why he left. I don't think we'll ever really know. Nope. I guess I personally, I don't really care too much about that. I mean, that was very surprising. But again, they got Hextall in almost immediately. So the thing fans keep saying is like, oh, he abandoned the team. It doesn't. It's not like, if a player just got up and decided they were going to go, head back to Europe in the middle of the season, and like you can't easily replace them. A GM is a little different. It's not like the Penguins just didn't have a GM. Like, they brought in Hextall, who has a good track record. He came in, so it's not like they were just screwed when he left.
Yeah, no, this isn't Calvin Benjamin retiring at halftime.
That's
not what happened here.
Yeah,
but it is abrupt. Yeah,
it was abrupt. Yeah. It's very surprising. And I mean, what the Penguins are seeing, far fewer middle of the night trades, because how many of those did Rutherford make?
Oh my goodness, all of them.
Yeah, I think like Hagelin was at 2 a.m. There are a couple of those where you couldn't go to bed early. You got to have your phone turned on. But I mean, talking about good moves, the Tuesday was the anniversary of trading Scuderi for Daly, which was one of
that was huge.
His best. So he did a lot of good things here, but that doesn't mean he's a deity and we gotta build a statue to him outside of PG paints the arena and pray to it. Like, no, you can still criticize him when he makes those bad moves, and then when he doubles down on them how many years later. Just surprising.
Well, it'll sure be entertaining to watch what's going on in Vancouver, like you said, with Bruce Boudreau and him there together. It's gonna be a wild ride for Canucks fans. Don't envy you at all with that one, but it will be along for the ride for sure. But that is going to do it for another episode of Podcast on Fifth Ave. Make sure you are subscribed wherever it is you listen to podcasts. We're everywhere. We drop new shows every single Thursday, so make sure that you're here. Not next week, because next week is Christmas. Oh my God. But after the holidays, we will be back and ready to roll. So excited to talk more Penguins hockey with you. But yeah, we will see you all next time.